Hi, this is Beth from the United States of America, and I'm this week's guest on the Germany Experience.
It's the Germany Experience, the podcast about life in Germany as seen through the eyes of outsiders. I'm your host, Sean, and welcome to the show. I am laughing because I messed that up. I already have my guest on the line. As you heard, Beth from the United States of America. Hello, Beth.
Hello, Sean.
Yeah, and before we start, I want to tell people where to find the show on the internets. It's at thegermanyexperience.de, and you can also send me email at info@germanyexperience.de. I don't know what's going on with my brain today, Beth.
Is there a full moon today?
I don't know. Something's
that could be why.
Something's messing with my brain electro waves or whatever is going on. So I have Beth from the United States of America. And for those who are longtime listeners, they will know that this is not the first time Beth has been on. I have lost track. I think you've been on 3 or 4 episodes.
I think like 18. I'm just kidding. I think it is.
I think you're pretty much a co-host, as I tell Nina as well.
Exactly. At this point, sign me up. 4th, I believe.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's 4 as well. I think that's what we
But who's counting?
No one's counting.
Somebody is.
Somebody, you know what?
I'll let you know.
Somebody is probably counting. I have people who have listened to each and every episode, and they probably know how many they've listened to. So someone's counting, Beth. So what we're going to discuss today, we're going to catch up with Beth. And what's cool about this is kind of a catch up for me too, because we've spoken a few times, obviously on the podcast and also not on the podcast, but we haven't spoken for a while. So this is kind of a catch up session for us as well. What we're going to be talking about is the need for community for foreigners living in Germany. And we're going to be touching on where Beth is at mentally right now. But we're going to get into your story, Beth. But before we do, I want to tell you about some things that are going on now. First of all, in my last episode, I told the world that I had an exciting announcement to make. And I was really thinking that I could make this announcement in this episode, but I can't because some plans have fallen through. There's been setbacks, and now I don't know if what I wanted to announce is going to happen at all. I think it's going to happen. It's just been probably pushed back a bit. But I'm very excited just to tell everyone who tuned in to this episode to hear what I had to announce, which is probably 0 of you, but just in case there are some, I'm going to announce something soon. I just don't know when at this point. It's not today. Something else I wanted to talk about, and I know that you also watched the Eurovision Song Contest on the weekend. So just to brush up for those who don't know, the Eurovision Song Contest is, as it says on the tin, it's a song contest where countries from Europe and also Israel and Australia come to participate and then they all bring these ridiculous songs and someone has to win. And this year, the Ukraine won. But the Ukraine won. Did you listen?
Did
you watch?
Oh, I did watch. They do the whole, they make you wait till obviously the voting has to come in.
Oh my God, yes.
And I tried, but there's so many music acts and things going on. It was close to midnight. And I'm like, you know what? I'll find out in the morning. And my instinct was Ukraine. I voted for them myself. And I can't remember one other country. And I'm like, am I allowed to vote for more than one? I'm like, well, even if it's not allowed, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But, I know it has quite a long history. And as an American, it was pretty new to me until when I lived in Sweden as an exchange student is when I was introduced to it. So it's nice on Facebook to then post about it. Then I have my friends, everybody's kind of like, oh, was it, who's having their guesses. And it is a fun experience. It's just, it does seem to be a little more political than, I kind of think, can we just keep it to the campy, cheesy songs? And
I know, that's why I'm here. I'm not here for the politics. Yeah, I'm here for the wind machines, the ridiculous outfits, and the cheesy, campy songs. That's what I'm here for.
All those, exactly, the graphics, it's the whole show, the performances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my German colleagues don't understand why I watch it because I watch it religiously every year. But it is, I guess, somewhat ironically that I watch it, but I actually love it. I actually love the show. The songs are over the top. They're ridiculous. There's like drinking games that you can play. So every time there's an unnecessary key change in a song, you have to take a drink. And every time someone uses a wind machine, you have to take a drink. Every time there's a costume change mid-song, you have to take a drink. So the thing is, you end up drinking a lot when you play.
You have just now changed how I will watch this show in the future because I was taking it so seriously. It's like, That is a great way to watch it.
So, and next year, I want to do a live stream while it is on, so I can watch with listeners, so we can kind of talk about the show.
Group watch. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
I'm hoping that can happen. But yes, Ukraine won. I liked the song. It was pretty cool that they did. What was your other What were your other favorite songs? Can you remember?
Well, it just seems embarrassing.
No, come on, tell me.
Well, I mean, I tend to like the more techno poppy. I really like to be able to, I actually Shazammed a couple, okay. I did like Romania. People are gonna be like, what? Romania. But they sang in Spanish. Baba baby, yeah. Mama, yeah. I thought it was catchy. I like a tune that's catchy.
I did like that
and one. I know. See, I don't even want it's like, oh. And then oh gosh, I think the Czech one that nobody voted for. I don't know how it did get a lot of points, but it was the very first one. It found its momentum. Like anything that I find myself singing it, like I can hear, repeating the chorus or kind of. Yeah, that's what I like.
It must suck to be first though, because I think that at the Eurovision to play first, to be the first country on, is not a good thing because people forget you by the time you're like at number 10. Like every time they do this during the evening, they replay all of the like just snippets of the songs so you can remember. Every time they play Czech, I'm like, oh yes, they were there.
That was that one.
Song. Yeah, they also had a song. I remember that now.
Yeah, they did. They definitely started off with the shaky voice. You could tell they were nervous, but and then you try to. If we talk about it, then I'll be like, oh yeah, I like them, but I can't. I can tell you, I like it. Something happened where I missed the guy from the UK, but he got a lot of points. Go UK.
I was getting ready to not like the UK song like I do every year.
And it was like everyone.
Really good. And I think his name is Sam Ryder or something like that, the guy that sang the song. It's a good song, well-written song, and a really charismatic singer. He was like super charismatic. I was into the performance. I loved it. I loved the UK entry this year. And I see why Ukraine won, and I think it's good because it was the public vote. So the way it ended, I don't know if you saw, but the each country at the end of, once they've all sung and finished the main part of the show, each country then goes and gives 12 points and assigns a certain number of points to each country that they liked. So Germany would give like 12 points to whoever, Sweden or whoever they liked. I can't remember who they gave it to. And then after that, there's the public vote that counts. And the UK actually won when it was just the juries from each country giving their vote in. And then the public vote came in and it was a landslide. It wasn't just a little bit. It was the public.
Yeah, it went to 600 some. Yeah, like I recorded the after show so that because I knew I was going to fall asleep. There was no way I was going to stay awake that long. But to watch it, and then they do and now they make they drag it out as long as
I know.
I just fast forward a little bit, and then I passed it. And I was like, no. I'm seeing them celebrating. I'm like, no, I wanted to see that moment. But that moment when you see that the popular vote came in, you just knew they had it locked in.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. I mean, yes, it is maybe political, but the Ukraine is going through some shit at the moment. And I think that moments like this is the way that we all can show solidarity, or a lot of the public showed solidarity to Ukraine for this. And it means something to the country, I hope. So I think it's good. I think I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure. Yes.
So that was the Eurovision Song Contest. I always watch until the end of the songs, and then I catch up on the winner the next day. Because like you, I think it's too long to wait. At just about 1 o'clock in the morning, I think it finishes. Yeah.
Yeah, they drag it out. You're like, oof. I'm in. I'm all in. I love the performance, but I think I might have dozed off there for a little while. That's why I will have to go back and watch the UK performance.
Yeah. So let's get to you, Beth. Let's talk about Beth, the person. So the last time that we spoke, I think you were looking for a job. You didn't have a job at that time. We were also, I think the last time we spoke, we were discussing what it was like to go back to the United States for you. I think you had just made a trip back after a long time of not going from COVID. And we spoke a bit about what that was like and what the feeling was back then. But I guess a lot has happened since then. And you now, there's the cat. What would the best episode be without a cat?
There's Chase. Well, the episode can't just be about me and a cat. Chase had to get his...
Chase has to be in it. Chase has
the last word. The last meow.
So you now have a job.
I do. I mean, I guess it's the American hustler in me, or I don't know what you want to call it. But, I've been in Germany in September. I will have been in Germany for 10 years. and, knew that when I came over here, we were going to start a family and we have our son. And I think in my mind that I would just go right back into my corporate America job, which was a very good job. I left it. It was with an airline, and I thought, I'll just kind of slip right back into that. Well, yeah, that didn't happen. So there's like a quick, wake up call, like, oh, yeah,
it's not that easy.
So, not so much. And so if anyone's had the job search struggle, man, it is just, I just kept thinking, okay, the right thing's going to come along, and certainly enjoyed being home with my son, and it's been great. And, he's now 8, and you're like, okay, I need to find something that really is fulfilling. I mean, this is the point now. It's like it's just been I'm now in the job since October 1st. And, I'm past my probate, my probation period, and it flew by. And it's one of those where like every work day, the day flies by because it's just so much to do and it's busy and it's great. But I knew up until this point what I was doing. Like, in addition to being a mom, I would just kind of, here and there, just do some tutoring or business English, that kind of thing. But it was like, like being a mom is one thing. It's just, I knew that I wanted to do something that was in my background, like using my sales background and all these things that just were not happening. And that frustration, I mean, home life's great. My extracurriculars were great. I had so many activities going on, but the work, it was like, I'd go in for interviews and, German, pretty good German, I'd say. And, you get to the end, they say, well, we're looking for a native speaker. Or one place gave me a quiz, and I'm like, what? Like they're asking me about my marital status and children. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's just 1950 or something. I'm like, I just stepped back in time, and I just, okay, you know what? The right thing's going to come along when I least expected it. Okay. It was actually it happened because of Amy Holt.
Oh yeah, another previous guest on the show, and you guys were also a guest together on the podcast. So she kind of got you a job before she left to go back to the States.
She didn't get it. It's because I helped her to get a quote to move her pet, because my background is in the cargo world and with the airline.
Right.
The pet shippers of the world, those were our customers when I worked for cargo sales for the airline. And my husband just suggested, give Pet Air a call. And so I did. And I said, Amy, we know some people that are in that industry. And, kind of not because of Amy Holtz needing to move her Greyhound, I helped to put the call together. And then after that, my husband's like, well, why don't you apply? And I was like, never thought to put those two, like my love of animals and my shipping knowledge or my career knowledge up to that point. And it's been a great fit so far.
That is so wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. It's Amy's last gift to you almost. Like, here's an opportunity.
When she dropped that bomb, bye, I'm leaving in a month. What?
But I need you to help me move my ground.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I was like, well, actually, I moved my pet over here. So I'd already, I knew that obviously I had kind of an idea of how this world worked, but obviously you have no idea till you just get this feeling sometimes, like pre-Christmas, pre-Easter, you're like, is everybody moving but me? Am I the only one who's not relocating somewhere? Like, and does everybody own a French bulldog? Because at this point, it seems like everyone and their uncle owns a French bulldog, and it's the worst time of year to try to ship. I mean, it's May in this hemisphere, like the northern hemisphere. It's just like picking up speed for people, whether they're military and PCSing or whatever.
So
a lot of
animals
French
are on the
bulldogs.
move.
They are, yes. High demand. Yeah.
So you work for a company that ships animals from one country to another, or like basically puts them on flights?
Yeah, I also work with relocation companies too. So I'm getting sometimes third countries that don't even involve Germany. But I would say, as the lone American in the office, I should just probably change my title to be the American who helps the Americans. I do get a lot of the quotes and requests for military and U.S. or private moves and consulate and things like that. Because what is interesting is I was talking to my sister about this job, or how I get a really some nice positive feedback, and people are so relieved, not only when they hear an English speaker, a native speaker, but they just oh, you've put me at ease, or we're not moving boxes, people. You know what I mean? This is an emotional thing. I mean, it is a big deal. And I'm able to empathize because I've done it myself. And I also, not as a pet owner, but also as an expat myself living over in Germany. So once we've had that conversation and walked through all the steps and how it works, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
I get to know, and I get the feedback from the customers, and that positive feedback, gets me going for the next, it's like, of course, not every shipment is not, puppies and rainbows and everybody's thrilled, but
sometimes it is puppies, but
sometimes it is the puppies.
Maybe no rainbows.
It's just in general, knowing that I'm providing, one customer said, it's so nice. You give me the same level of customer service you're just from America. And I think what she's trying to say is that I'm not the cashier at Aldi that's rushing her along,
Exactly. You're a different level of customer service to what people might be used to in Germany. That's what
she's like, you've answered my questions and you were so friendly. And I'm like, it's kind of all I know how to be. Yeah. I don't know any other way, but it just cracks me up because I'm like, man, everybody's expectation coming into the call is like so low.
Yeah.
And then
So during that searching phase, I guess it was like you mentioned a lot of frustration. You felt like you wanted to just basically contribute or do something useful other than just your home life and parenting and everything like that. So now you're feeling that fulfillment. Is that
yes,
giving you the satisfaction that you need?
For sure. I would say it's not, trying to find a new normal as far as balancing it all. There is this sort of feeling that am I the only full-time working mother in this area? Kind of like, and I could do home office, but the nature of our work, and we're a small team, just to be fair for everybody, I'm in the office Monday through Friday. And if I need to, be at home or leave earlier, it's a great company. Like I feel supported and I feel heard, and it's all the things that you need from an employer.
Yeah.
Because it's at this point I said, I've got a very long career. Most of it was very corporate America. I had a very good career in the States. But I've done so much at this point. I know what makes a great manager. I know what, it's like that sort of spidey sense that you have for how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I knew from the beginning, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a place where I can really be challenged, learning something new. I have a lot to offer, not just in my native English speaking skills, but setting up structure in a way that I was able to say, hey, well, this is how we did it before.
Yeah.
So, for anyone new hire coming in, we can make sure that, they have all the steps they need to, make this all go seamlessly. And so having that, being able to step in and automatically have just all those, like all the boxes being checked and continuously, and still that it is the case that even now, I just see myself there for a long time. And I think in general, people don't leave a bad job. They leave bad managers. And I have a very good leadership team. So it's great. It's good.
I just
have to stop looking at my work phone at night because this is terrible, right? Because if my son's in bed, I only have a very set amount of time now that I'm with my son and husband during the week. It's very precious. I don't want that time interrupted at all. But of course, it's tempting. I know my phone is in my purse. I'm like, let me just take a peek.
Yeah, but that's also a good sign. It's bad. I don't think it's healthy to do that, and maybe it's just a phase that you're going through, and or maybe it's fine to do it. I don't know, but I think it's a sign that you're liking the job. If you're willing to, like, I don't know what to say. I guess
I'm invested.
You're invested. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's you're invested.
It's my name associated to and I have a lot of moving parts at a lot of different customers and a lot of different issues or things going on or timing. And my husband's like, how do you keep track of it all? Like, how do you, I was like, well, I'm very organized. Number one, I wouldn't work without having systems in place, which my career, which I've been able to even help my own colleagues say, well, this is how I do it. And I don't want to be like, let me tell you, because I'm the old lady.
This is how it's done.
Listen, youngins, set up your Outlook this way. But it's like, simple things like setting up reminders. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. And I was like, well, yeah, if this thing is due every Tuesday at 2:00,
why not?
Don't have enough space up here to keep that information, something has to give. So of course I use the reminder function, So yeah, it's been rewarding.
Well, that's very cool. Yeah, it's always nice when those things work out, and also just shows that you can find a good place even after quite some time. Because I mean, you've had ups and downs in Germany. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned a lot of extracurricular activities. For example, one of the things that you told me about in a previous interview that you were doing was volleyball was a good way to meet Germans, meet people, and you loved doing volleyball. But then, of course, after Corona, that all stopped. What's happening with things like that?
I sent an email to find out if they're still playing at 8 p.m. That was like the first step.
Okay.
We're talking 2+ years, 2 and some change months that I've played.
Okay. Why so long? Because obviously there was COVID, and then did you just not join, or have they still not been playing?
Well, like everybody, right? You've got this like 2 years that seem like kind of a placeholder. Like our life did this thing during these 2 years. Not that it's over or, whatever, but it's like these 2 years of solid, not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring. Are we home? Are we not? Do we get to go out? Do we not? Do we lock down? And volleyball took a hit for a while. It wasn't happening. And then it was back on. And then my lower back from 30+ years of fencing, I did a KUA last year where I got to go away for 3 weeks.
And just to explain what that is, that's in Germany, you can do things like a KUA, where if you have some kind of issue, some kind of problem, some kind of thing, you go to like it's a rehab. So therapy or physical therapy or whatever kind of therapy it is for 3 weeks or for longer. Sometimes
my family was like, "You're doing what?" I go, "Yeah." So my insurance pays for me to be basically in like a hotel for physical therapy for 3 months, 3 weeks. It was amazing. So I was in tip-top shape, but then I got to tell you, the sitting at a desk and not moving as much during the day has taken a number on my L5 on my spine. So it's like, this is me not finding balance. Yeah. So I am like a worker. Like once I go in on something, I go all in. Yes. And the problem is I am work and family at this point. And that is also like, ding, 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 red flag. Yeah. Don't go down this road. You got to get it back. Like I'm not there yet. So it's something like that we talked about. I mentioned, looking for community again. Who am I? Who am I without volleyball? Who am I without fencing? These things that were like staples in my life for so long are simply not there anymore.
But what is it about that? Is it the activity itself? Like, I mean, I think we mentioned this as well in a previous interview, and I'll put the previous interviews that we had in the show notes so people can also listen to those if they want. But is it the active fencing that you're missing, like doing fencing, or is it something around that?
My midsection misses. my body's like, hey, remember that thing called physical activity?
Remember when we used to exercise?
Remember when you could wring out your t-shirt from sweat? Yeah. Let's try that again. Yeah. So, I mean, at one point I was training for the New York Marathon. I mean, I was like, these were things that were my identity. And I think in what's included with that as a bonus is that belonging to, I'm Beth. I mean, my last name should have just been Beth the Fencer or,
Beth volleyball.
Volleyball. Yeah. It's like
not very catchy, but yes.
No, it doesn't have a good ring to it, but you move here, you become a mom. And I kind of go, is that typical mom story or parent story where you're like, everybody comes before you. And you just, these last 2 years of really kind of, on one hand, enjoying being unscheduled, like descheduling yourself and your family was if you could put a silver lining to it all. But then on the next, there's sort of that Gewohnheit. You're getting so used to being in your home, or I'm speaking for myself, that as an extrovert, like what happened to my ability to go out and like do things outside of my family? So now I'm slowly like meeting up with friends on a regular basis again, or trying to like, okay, now I've signed up with a trainer. I've signed a 1-year contract for 2 days a week, 1 hour, one-on-one, because obviously it ain't working what I'm doing. Yeah. And I think that's probably from my training. I mean, I was training towards the Sydney Olympics in 2000. So most of my life, I've had somebody there to kick my butt and basically keep me in line and say, hey, okay, let's go faster, 10 more, get going, and now I haven't had anyone or I just know that for me is what I need. I need that external, someone who's keeping count, because they're like, how many more reps? I have no idea.
I just want to get done with this.
I was thinking about what I had for lunch. Like I space out in those kind of settings. So I can tell you that's not so having somebody there like I had my first training session Sunday, and I thought I wouldn't be able to walk up the stairs very well, but I'm doing all right. I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. But like up until I was working full time, I was taking like hikes or using my free time to really go for like a light run or walks for like an hour. And my body was like, haha, that's nice. But again, that's solitary. That's also, it's nice for listening to podcasts and, you know, having time with yourself or nature, the Germany experience.
I'm all for any activity that promotes podcast listening, just to be clear to everyone.
Although I only know your voice at 1.5 speed, Sean. So this is a little
I can talk about something.
Wow.
Make you feel it easier with my 1.5 speed.
Like, hey, less caffeine, Sean.
I'm always impressed that people listen to a podcast at 1.5 or 2 times the speed, because a lot of podcast players let you do that. I've tried it before. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't.
I'm down to 1.2 with Spotify, I'll tell you. Yeah.
All right. But just on what you were saying about this, there were 2 things that you said that I wanted to just highlight. The one thing was that we had the whole COVID thing, the 2 years. What you said about your world shrinking, I think that's something that we all experienced. Like, we went from having a lot of depending on what kind of lifestyle you led, but for example, for me, a lot of social commitments, a lot of weekends were booked up in way in advance, being spontaneous. Yeah, let's go have a drink tonight, or on Saturday, let's just go down to the beer keller or something. We went from that, and then suddenly it was just you and your family, or in some cases, I guess, people on their own, and your world just shrunk. And I think the worst part about that is it started becoming very easy to catch up on screens, like on Zoom or on messaging on WhatsApp. Sometimes some friends I didn't even FaceTime or anything. I was just talking to them in text. The world really shrunk. And I think some people are finding it difficult to get back out of there. I think introverts maybe would be struggling a little bit more. You and I, Beth, are extroverts. So like the moment I went back out there, and that's one of the things I'm loving at the moment, is just feeling that sense of connection again and connecting with people.
For sure. I think that I would say that's probably when we talked about like feeling a sense of a part of something, it's just that sort of retraining yourself. And I think that's a good point we make with your world shrinking. It's true. And, you know, you can look at it at the beginning. It was wonderful. We bought patio furniture. It was like, we're really going to embrace this being home thing. And hope we don't get it, and hope my family stays healthy and safe. You know, it was such I heard somebody say they go, the last 2 years have been the longest decade ever. And I was like,
it does.
Yep.
It is very accurate.
Well, my work, I mean, this week has been so busy. I go, man, this has been the longest week ever. And that was just this morning. I go, today feels like the longest week ever. It's just, there are those moments or days, but these last 2 years truly feel like, wow, what did we just, what was that? So, and here we are on the other side.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention was the needing to get back to fitness. I'm in exactly the same place as you right now, Beth, because I was also I was a regular runner. I was very physically active, and for some reason I think the last year, and I can't even blame COVID. Unfortunately, I'd love to.
I used to blame mine on having a baby, and then I'm like, wait, he's 8. Hold on. How long do you get to use that excuse?
Yeah. So I just fell out of exercise, and on top of that, I was eating really badly, like not watching what I eat. So now I'm also at the exact same point as you. I got to the point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I need to get back to exercise. So I've downloaded one of these fitness apps to see how that works. Because like you, I need a structured program. I need ideally, I would have someone to tell me, like, let's do this, but I just, there's no time in my schedule for going to the gym or having a personal trainer. So what I do is I downloaded one of these fitness apps that give you a program, and then it gives you notifications when you're supposed to be doing something. And I did the first one of that on, when was it? Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I am in pain today. My glutes are in pain. My calves are in pain.
Still there.
But it feels good. It feels really good to get back to that, back to fitness and yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So what about the volleyball? I think have you restarted that, or have you just made connection with them again?
Well, I reconnected, and then I figured, you know what, let's get my back stable again. Try to get some kind of core muscles there, so that the twisting and jumping and things like that. Really, I don't want to go back how many steps if I do a wrong move or something, because I just know I'm not at my peak fitness level yet. So when we talk in a year from now, because the first step was me walking into that that training, into that gym the other day on Sunday. And he said, well, you made the first step. And I go, wow. He's like, I can see you have the muscle is still there. You're still strong.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you so much. But I was like,
I bet you say that to all your fitness customers.
Oh, he was quite direct, actually. And I just thought, let's give volleyball a minute before I go back. I did contact with them, just let them know I'm kind of alive. I'm still here. I still pay my monthly dues, but I'm not there playing. But I'm like, maybe I just go some Monday night and just be in the room, or I don't know how to play volleyball light. There's sort of with me, maybe there has to be a realization I'm older and I'm not, it wasn't 20 years ago, and maybe I'm not jumping as high or not hitting the ball as hard or whatever, but maybe just accept it as a social aspect and just be around everybody again.
Yeah. So
slowly get back into it.
Yeah. So that's that you've taken a step back to that community, and I guess a step towards finding some kind of new identity, I guess. I mean, you've already got half of it with the job that's going well.
Yeah, for sure. I think I know I need that, like that. And I looked at like the blue zones around the world, and that feeling of community or being connected, and that I don't want to be isolated anymore. That does feel, not that I'm isolated, maybe that sounds extreme, but like I have to have something I have to be a part of something. Yeah. There has to be something where you're meeting up with people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be groups of people all the time, whatever. But, even just hanging out with my friend last week, she and I went for a long walk for 2 hours. And I thought, this is on me for not, like, come on, get out of the Monday through Friday routine. This is on a random Tuesday night. We went for a long walk, and we ran from one end of the town to the other. And I thought, this is the stuff I need regularly, because that's the socializing, that's the talking, getting, we got our 5,000 words a day. I got them out. I got like 15,000 out or more. Yeah. And it was healing. It was refreshing. I woke up with a jump in my step the next day. And I thought just a simple walk with a friend shows how much it can do for your well-being, like that. Or in my case, I mean, I think for a lot of people, but it doesn't necessarily have to always be some big group thing, but that connection to others outside of this world of my work and my family.
Yeah. And I think that's important. And it's important not to fall into that trap of just getting stuck into, like, you're defining yourself as only what is here and in your family life, because it's important, like you said, to get that feeling of community and the connections outside. And I think for people living in Germany, for foreigners living in Germany, especially people that are just new in Germany, it's particularly difficult because it's not easy to get that sense of community if you don't speak the language very well, or if you're not getting out there. It's definitely something that's difficult to get to. And I think that could also influence people's mental states.
Yeah, there's internations. Even if you just want a virtual community, you have your Facebook group. I talked about this on one of the episodes, that until I found your podcast, as an expat, you almost don't think about there being other people in your same situation, or understanding what it's like to not have small talk anymore, or, exactly. The German stereotypes. But, there's a lot of good of being here overseas, but there's good and bad with everything. So pros and cons, but, knowing that there's other people who know how you feel is that was huge. And I think you should be proud of the community that you've created because of this podcast. It
means a lot to me as well, because the community, I've said it before in this podcast, the community definitely helped me through COVID, because I was still connecting with people. I had people messaging me and wonderful conversations with people that I wouldn't have had otherwise if it wasn't for the podcast. So even from a selfish perspective, it was really cool to be in touch with all these people. It makes me happy to think if other people got something similar out of it as well. That's a cool thing.
Nice.
Yes, Beth. And with this being your fourth appearance, I guess we can say that it's not going to be your last appearance. You're going to have to come back in a year and give us sort of, because I want to do more of that with the guests. I want to get guests that were previously on the podcast to come back on, and we kind of see how they've progressed and what's been happening in between. So I'm very glad that you came on now to talk about this. And you will be definitely getting an invitation to come back on at some point from me.
Thank you, Sean.
That is a warning.
I would love to come back, of course.
Very good. Very good. Yes. And before we go, I just wanted to say, you mentioned Facebook groups and stuff. So I want to ask people who are listening to this podcast, if you like this podcast, And I guess if you've listened to this point of an interview in an episode, you're enjoying the podcast. Maybe this is your first episode and you're enjoying this episode. Beth's a great guest. I know. It's cool that you love it. Oh, there's the cat again.
Maybe they just come to hear Chase. I don't know.
I just hear a cat. So what I wanted to say is, if you like this podcast, one of the best things that you can do is go onto those Facebook groups or go onto those social media groups that you're on. There's a lot of them, like expats living in Frankfurt, expats in Munich, or wherever you are on Facebook, wherever you're having your discussions, and maybe just go and share an episode on those forums. It all helps to spread the word, and that's all I ask. If you're enjoying the show, just go and put a link on a social media group. Who knows what will happen?
It's not a big ask.
It's not a big ask, Beth. It's just paste the link. Because if I go and paste the link on all of them, I'm going to get kicked out of all the groups because I'm the host of the podcast.
I'll tell you what. I'll post the link to this one. How about that? Okay. A lot of self-promotion. That looks modest.
Listen to this episode with the random guest. I guess her name is also Beth from the United States.
Wow, how weird. She's also from the U.S. and looks very similar to me.
Very cool. I appreciate your time, Beth. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and we'll talk again.
Thanks.